Hello, everyone, and welcome to the One Marketing Thing podcast. Today's guest is Jonathan Marx, and the topic is using science and research to market products and services effectively. Hello again, everyone. I'm your host, Antoinette Blake, and you are watching the One Marketing Thing podcast. And we started this podcast for digital marketers to provide them with expert advice from industry leaders and veterans who have decades of experience. And today we have one of those experts. Our veteran here is Jonathan Marx. And Jonathan is going to be discussing using science and research to market products and services effectively. But before we get into it, let's welcome Jonathan. And Jonathan, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Welcome, first of all, to the One Marketing Thing podcast. And we want to know a little bit more about you and that of your experience.
Great. Thank you for having me so much, Antoinette. I've had about 20 years of medical marketing experience. I started my own business back in 2001, and I've been through a number of iterations in the business, but all of them have been productive. I've done a lot of work for the Centers for Disease Control. I was training them on how to do effective communications because that was particularly important during COVID. And I've also worked on large projects that have educated both the public and health professionals in the topics of ADHD. And I just finished working for 5 years with 18 university hospitals over in Europe. And they were doing clinical trials on how, and this is very interesting, how your nutrition and your lifestyle affect your mental health. So it really was confirming that the brain is truly connected to the rest of the body, and what you eat and how you treat your body affects your mental processes. So that was fascinating. And my job was I was working with 100 scientists, and was to take all the information they knew and get it out to the public and get the public watching our videos, coming to our websites, reading our blogs, learning about the science that they were in fact discovering.
That's awesome. Yes, the mind, the body, it's just one major machine, right?
Yes,
But
absolutely.
and it's science and research. You are using science and research to market products and services effectively. So, I'm going to ask you, tell us, how has your extensive experience, as you stated, you've been in for a while, you're a veteran and without, given your age.
Right. You can
But
notice
with
the white
your
hair. I'm proud of it.
hey, you got to be, right? You have to be. So using those years of experience, how, tell our digital marketers how they should, use science and research to market products and services effectively when they're looking to engage with their niche target market audience.
Right. Well, let's start with the idea that as a marketer, you have a product or a service that you're trying to get out to the public. And the first thing you want to do is, as we're talking about here with Antoinette, is doing some research about what the product does, who needs the product, who's got the problems that this product is going to solve. And you really need to understand that not only at an intellectual level, but at a gut level, because one of the biggest mistakes that I found that marketers make is they focus on what a product or a service does, but most people don't care about what a product or a service does. What they care about is how is their problem and how a product or service can solve my problem. So you have to get into the head and the gut of your target audience and understand what's going to motivate them. And I will say that one of the biggest competitions that you have in marketing a new service or product, or even if it's an existing service or product, one of the biggest competitors you have is what people are doing right now to solve their problem or not solve their problem. Maybe they're just living with it. And so the biggest competitor you have is not what your other competitors are doing, but is whatever people are doing right now, which may be nothing. They may have little or no awareness of the problem, or they may have little or no awareness that there are solutions to the problem. So your job, again, is to really get in, understand. And I think doing market research, talking with your target audience, finding out who they are, you'll learn tremendous amount just from little things that they say that you say, oh, that's a key I can use to get in and unlock the door. So I recommend having lots of conversations with your target market and to really learn what it is that motivates them or doesn't motivate them. If they're not motivated, somehow you have to create a need. Like, gee, maybe you didn't know you need this. Maybe you didn't know you don't have to live with this pain. Like, for example, migraine sufferers. It's a horrible, horrible condition to have. And people may just think, oh, I've been to so many doctors and nobody can do anything, so I just have to live with this. Yet out on the market, there are more and more products that are beginning to effectively deal with migraines. So you kind of have to pump through whatever they're doing today to introduce your new product. So those are just a couple of pointers. If you have, want me to go into any more detail beyond that, I'm happy to, Antoinette.
Yes, because research, long-term research is vital. It's never a hit it and quit it. And to be successful, there were challenges and there were defeats. But how did you overcome those defeats, and become successful in this research?
Yeah, so this is really, and this has to do with research itself, but it really is trying different things and seeing what works. So I think the key word is measurement. You need to measure what's going on. And, one of the best measuring tools for me is Google Analytics. It's been wonderful. Now, there are
Yes.
many other tools that, are you can use, but you want to start measuring results, because when you start out on a project, you have your own ideas and your own biases about what's going to work or what you think the market needs or what you've heard or what you've learned. And what you got to do is get out there and try it and measure the results. And then the real magic comes in is by looking at the results and going with what's succeeding. Not everything's going to succeed. Your original ideas are not necessarily going to succeed. You're going to have light bulbs come on as people start responding, and you'll start seeing, oh, that caught interest. That was a headline. That was a keyword. That was a video. That was a blog that got lots of views, lots of comments, lots of responses. And so what you want to do is try lots of things. And that's been the experience I've had. You want to try a broad number of things, and that's part of your research. Okay, the research doesn't stop, is what I want to say. It keeps on going. You got to keep tracking your progress throughout your launch. I worked on a project called ADHD in adults for 10 years, and we ended up training 33,000 health professionals on how to recognize ADHD. And we also have almost 900,000 views on YouTube about ADHD that have been focused on the ADHD patient. And it's been a very interesting project because until the 1980s, it was thought that ADHD only lasted through the teenage years, and that as teenagers got older, that ADHD went away. Why did they think that? Because the physical hyperactiveness went away as people matured. But the fact is that ADHD is lifetime. It's a lifetime condition, and people have to deal with it throughout the lifetime. So what happened was that 90% of ADHD adults don't know they have ADHD because their doctors told them you don't have it. And so what research started to show was that it is a lifelong condition. And the way a lot of adults found out they had ADHD was through their kids, when their kids got diagnosed, because it's very hereditary. So they found, gee, I was like that when I was a kid too, so maybe I have it. And then they found out they have ADHD. So we really had to do a big education project over educating both doctors and the public, is that adults have ADHD, and perhaps if you have these kinds of symptoms in your life, or these problems or challenges in your life, you might want to get tested for ADHD. And so it's been a very, very successful program that we've done. And that's just one example of, doing research and then again, finding what hits, because in this case, people were finding out that they had ADHD when their kids were diagnosed. And so where we started was, hey, have your children been diagnosed with ADHD? And all of a sudden the light bulb goes on and say, oh, well,
that light bulb moment.
You should think about that for yourself. Maybe that's a cause of some of the challenges you're having in your life. So it is, again, it's your initial research, it's your initial concept, and that's great. But then you launch with a number of ideas and a number of tries. You see what works, and you keep following that. And you just keep watching the data and really base your efforts on the data that you're getting.
And Jonathan, you just science and research is so vital. And, some people say, well, I don't need to worry about science. I don't need to worry about research, but you do. For even, it's just in order for you to solve or, that pain point.
Yep.
And you remember when we were growing up, we were just hyper kids, just go sit down, right?
That's right. Right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, one other thing I will say, as you go out and market, one of the things that I've learned over the years is, it's a mantra that I have that I always use. It's multiple media, multiple times. And what do I mean by that? When you start doing your message, we know from research, actually, that people have different styles of learning. And not everybody learns in the same way. Some people they'll be total readers, and they'll read and learn and be able to come out with all the detail. Other people have to experience or experiment and try it for themselves, and then they learn from experience, not from the reading, but from the experience. So what you want to do is share your information in multiple media, because you want to catch the different learning styles of a lot of different people. So you want to do things in blogs. You want to take that. Basically, what it is taking content and repurposing it into multiple media. So it's a blog, it's a video, it's a commercial or an advertisement, that you're really showing people your information in different media. But then the other thing that you will learn quickly is that you have a tremendous amount of knowledge about the product you're selling, but that knowledge has been acquired over time. And when you're first presenting that knowledge, it seems very logical and back of the envelope to you and just so natural, but your audience is hearing it for the first time, and marketers make mistakes by saying, gee, we told them. But the fact is, when you tell somebody, okay, they just heard it, but then they'll go on about the rest of their life and they'll forget about it. So what you have to do is hit them multiple times with the same kind of message. So repetition is a good thing. Some people say, oh, repetition is boring. No, I'm saying repetition is a good thing. So remember, multiple media, multiple times. That's the way you get out to people and having it start sink in. So that it becomes not only their knowledge, but it also starts going into their heart and their gut as, hey, this is for me and this can really help me.
Jonathan, oh, wow, you are so spot on. I am loving everything that I'm hearing. And, we got to bring you back, because you have a lot of knowledge for us. And I wrote down multiple media, multiple times. That's going to be my mantra as well. But yes, I love that. I love that. Jonathan, this is great. I mean, using science, research, and repetitiveness is amazing. So I want to thank you. You are a fantastic guest. Thank you so very much for being here on the One Marketing Thing podcast. And if you guys heard anything from Jonathan and you want to connect with him, send an email to editor@passionatemarketers.com. Jonathan, thank you so very much.
Antoinette, it's a pleasure to be here. I love sharing what I've learned, and I'm only just a couple of years ahead of everybody else. So I love sharing it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jonathan. And we want to thank Jonathan. He's a great veteran. He knows he's an expert in his field again. And we also want to thank you for tuning in today and our sponsor, Propel, because they are a unique reviews automation and management platform. They're the #1 tool that helps small businesses convert website visitors into customers.